Trayvon Martin's killing occurred less than 4 weeks after the shooting of another unarmed African-American teenager, Ramarley Graham, by a police officer in New York.
I don't think that I can explain why the shooter hasn't been arrested. I think that's exactly why we're on the phone now, why the students are rallying, because there's no explanation for it, especially with the amount of evidence that we have. You know, I think it's rare in a murder case or a killing case to have this much evidence, to be able to hear, you know, the final moments of Trayvon's life, to be able to hear the 911 calls of Zimmerman. I mean, in particular, you have Zimmerman calling, you have him reporting a suspicious person, you have the police telling him, ordering him to stand down, and then you have him directly defying the officer's orders and continuing to pursue Trayvon. And, you know, as we heard, we now have the 17-year-old girl that came forward that heard, you know, some of the final moments of Trayvon's life. And what this witness is telling us is that Trayvon was being followed, that he was trying to run. At one point, he lost Zimmerman. What we have is Zimmerman actively seeking this child out with a 9mm. We also know that Trayvon did not have any type of weapon on him, that Zimmerman outweighed him by 80 pounds. So I think it's a very clear-cut case of murder. You know, I think, you know, the kind of tagline of this case has been, what's Skittles up against a 9mm weapon? You have a kid walking home with a pack of Skittles, and you have a grown man following him, pursuing him with a 9mm weapon. You hear the gunshots, and you know, you end up with a child dead. So I think we have all of the evidence in the world to arrest him. And I think what the state attorney is trying to do is, you know, to try the case and the investigation, and that's not the state attorney's job.
And what about the phone? How is it that the police had it in their possession, but they never figured out who he was for several days, that his body was not claimed, Trayvon's body, for several days?
I mean, I think it shows that the Sanford Police Department, I mean, there was either corruption or just woeful ignorance on their behalf. They were calling the family after losing their child, harassing the parents over his phone, wanting to get to his phone, get into his phone, and they had the phone in their possession the entire time. So, you know, there are a lot of questions that I can't answer because they don't make sense.
I listened to the tapes no more than twice. I couldn't listen to it more than that. It was, like you said, chilling was the exact word that I used when I posted after my immediate response. You hear someone crying. You hear someone out loud crying for help. And my thoughts are that if a man that weighs almost 100 pounds more than a child comes to, or how do you say, pursues him with a gun in his pocket, why is he crying out for help? I just don't understand that. But that aside, you hear a child's cry for help. You hear a plea for someone's life. Then you hear a gunshot, and then you hear silence. You hear the life exit from the body of a victim.